Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another live. On today, we are talking about tax payments and whether or not you should pay taxes for your business. If you are new to me, I am Chastity Grady. At my company, Grady Tax Plus, it is my number one goal to make sure that we are keeping the IRS out of your pockets so that you can live a better life, especially in 2026. And if you're a social worker or therapist in business, it's my goal to make sure that while doing that, you are being financially successful in business. So let's go with the live. Let's get started. So, in regards to tax payments, on today, January 15th, your fourth quarter estimated tax payment is due. Okay. And so I wanted to debunk a myth that I've seen. And while I'm looking down for a quick second, I want to make sure that we share this live out with some groups, some communities that need this live. So make sure you share this live out with your fellow social workers, therapists, your fellow business owners who need to hear about taxes because taxes is going to be the thing that we're going to be focusing on for the next few months or so while we're in tax season, right? All right, so here we go. Like, girl. I often hear people say, "Oh, I hadn't filed my quarterly taxes all year. What do I do?" Well, you do not file anything, right? You only file your tax return one time. Okay, can somebody put one in the chat? You only need to file your tax return one time, and that's during the tax season, right? So once this tax season begins on January 26th for all 1040 returns, if you are an S corp or a partnership or a C corporation, the IRS has already opened as of January 13th for you. Okay, so you're good to go, right? And we're actively preparing those tax returns at the moment. So S corp and partnerships for my company, and or from my company rather, and the IRS will open up on January 26th for everybody else. Everybody else meaning anybody who is not an S corp, you're not a partnership, and you're not a C corporation. Okay. If you are not one of those three, then you file your business income and expenses on your personal tax return. There's not a separate tax return, okay? It's just the one. There's a schedule called Schedule C, and you can also look at Schedule E if you engage in rental property. So if you sublease your office, or if you lease out an office space, or you lease out your home, those things will go onto a Schedule E, which is still being a business owner, okay, in the eyes of the IRS. You may not see yourself that way, but the IRS see yourself that way. And like what I always like to say is that if the IRS sees you that way, then it's only right that you treat yourself that way. Okay, with that said, so now that we know we're going to treat ourselves as the business owner that the IRS sees us as, right? We only need to file our tax return once. But what happens is that when we are business owners, when we're independent contractors, side hustlers, whatever you want to give your name, whatever name you want to give yourself, I'm going to stick with business owner. So the fact that we are business owners, the IRS doesn't have the luxury of knowing what you have made during the year, right? So in 2025, when you were making money for your business or as an independent contractor, the IRS, they knew nothing about it. And they actually still don't know about it right now if the person who's supposed to give you a 1099, if they have not issued that yet to the IRS. So you are at an advantage, right? When the IRS doesn't know what is going on for a whole year, you, my friend, are at an advantage, right? Because now you get to control, okay, well, how much do I pay the IRS, right? I know I would have to pay them something, but how much? I get to control that because I get to write off my expenses. I have deductions that I qualify for, right? When you are a business owner, you are not paying 100% taxes on the money that deposits in your bank account. No, the IRS lets us subtract some things, right? So let's say you make $10,000 in a month. Well, you don't pay taxes on $10,000 for that month. The IRS allows you to reduce that by your expenses. So if you use your personal phone for business, a portion of that can be deducted. If you have softwares, office expenses, supplies, materials, whatever that you purchased, maybe you traveled for business, whatever you did in that month, the IRS lets you reduce that. So maybe that $10,000 is looking more like $8,000 or $7,000, right? Then it's the $7,000 that you're paying taxes on, right? And if you're a strategist like myself, then you're gonna look for ways that you can even get that down, but not just depleting the money, but using helpful ways to strategize so that you are not just wasting money, right? We don't want to use tax strategies, or we don't want to just be spending our money that's wasteful. We want it to be beneficial to us as well, right? Because we want to still keep our money in our pocket, right? You're at an advantage. The IRS knows nothing about what has happened during 2025 until we file that tax return, right? So the IRS, they are a pay-as-you-go system. So because they're like, okay, Chastity, I don't know what you're making. I don't know what you're gonna make in 2025, but you know, right? Or you're supposed to, right? They want us to keep up with our records. They want us to make sure we're doing bookkeeping, however you choose to do it, whether on a spreadsheet or in a software. And you are supposed to be keeping up with your deductions, your income, so that you know how much you should pay when it comes to those quarters, right? And I have to talk about the percentages probably in another live, but just stay with me for a second. So, because IRS don't know, they're like, hey, Chastity, I don't know what's going to happen in 2025. I don't know how much you're going to make. I don't know how much you're going to spend. But because you know that, and you should know that, then you need to estimate your own taxes for us and hope that your estimates are right so you don't owe us a penalty later. Right. So the IRS is a pay as you go system, meaning they put quarters in place for you to pay them quarterly, right? Because they want their money during the time that is going on. When you're working for a job as a W 2 employee, the IRS knows in real time every quarter how much you've made. And because the taxes are being taken out, you see the taxes leave from your paycheck. They know what's going on during the year because your employer has to file quarterly payroll reports, okay, or a software that they use is doing it for them, right? Because the IRS is a pay as you go system, right? The job is just not taking the taxes out of your paycheck and just holding on to it to one day pay it to the IRS. No, they are doing it quarterly, and sometimes maybe they're doing it monthly, right? But by no means are they just holding on to your money, or they shouldn't be holding on to your tax money to pay it for one time during the year. No, they would get penalized, penalized, penalized. And what makes you think you're so different? You are now an employer. When you're a business owner, the IRS sees you as an employer. So, because you're an employer, they expect that you are that you are paying your estimated tax payments quarterly. It's just a payment. You're not actually filing anything. You're not reporting your income to the IRS. Again, that happens one time on the tax return. So on the tax return, that's when we tell the IRS, hey, this is what I did. I made all of this. I spent all of that. This is what I have left over, and this is how much taxes I paid. But guess what? I pay quarterly throughout the year. So I either break even, maybe I get something back, or if I didn't pay enough, I have to pay you a little bit more. That's how it works. That's how it works. So today, January 15th, this is the fourth quarter tax payment due date. So if you have not paid anything at all during the year, or you've paid very little, then this is your opportunity to at least put something on your account, your IRS account, so that when we go to file your tax return, you're not left with such a big balance, right? You're not left with such a big tax burden, which leads to you getting penalties later on, because the IRS, they see everything. Okay, they see everything. They know if you've paid taxes or not. So when you file your tax return and it shows up that, oh, you didn't pay quarterly to us, so you had this balance, then guess what? They will send you a letter to pay them a tip, and that tip is in the form of penalties. And who wants to do that? Nobody. Remember, we want to keep the IRS out of our pockets, right? Not in. So, with that said, if you are someone who is in need of understanding how taxes work, right? You need to understand how taxes work. Maybe you need to understand how it works being a business owner, being an independent contractor, even paying yourself. I'm gonna break all of that down for you for free. So on January 28th, let me put that in the comments. On January 28th, I'm having our understanding small business taxes training. Okay, that's at 6:30 p.m. It's going to be for 2 hours. That's Central Time, and I'm going to break all of this down for you so that you have no confusion, so that you're very clear on how to operate as an independent contractor, as a business owner, so that you can be financially successful in 2026. No longer are there days where we're just working and just doing things and flying by the day. No, we are going to be strategic. We're going to be intentional about our business, right? Why we're going to do that? Because we get rewarded by doing that, right? I know, and maybe it's just me, but I used to think that I would be successful just by waking up in the morning. That success was just going to find its way to my front doorstep. And I had to come to realization that that's not how it works. That if I want something, I need to say exactly what it is that I want. So whatever that amount is in a year that you want to make in a month or in a year, how much you want to make in a year, not just saying, oh, you want to make 5 figures or 6 figures, but actually putting the zeros to the figures that you want to make, right? Being intentional and then figuring out, okay, well, if I want to make, let's say, $100,000 in a year, how many clients do I need to see in a month, right? How many service offerings do I need to provide to clients in a month in order to be able to be on track to receive that, right? This is how business work. When you look at successful companies, they're just not like, oh, we're here for business and we hope that you buy something from us. No, they have a strategy. They know what they want to make in a month. They know how much they need to make in a week because they got to pay people, and how much they want to make in a year. And then they put all of their marketing efforts into that to make it happen. So that's why you see their ads. Maybe if you stop by their store, they're giving you free samples depending on what kind of store it is or whatever, because they have a plan. If they get X amount of eyes on their website, if they get X amount of people inside their door, then they're going to be closer to getting to what they want for that year, for that month, for that day. And I know oftentimes we're not looking at business that way, but this is how you have to look at it. If you want to be financially successful, you gotta look at the numbers. You gotta look at the numbers. You have to focus on what it is that I want for my business. So this is what I've been talking to my monthly bookkeeping clients about. I've been asking them, do you have financial goals for 2026, or are you okay just making the same thing? Are you just okay doing the same thing and just hope the results are the same? And now clients are starting to pick up on there. They're like, you know what? I've been thinking about this, and I'm like, I should have a goal, right? And I'm sorry, I'm talking a little bit fast. I got like 3 minutes left on this live. They're like, I should have a goal, right? I should be striving towards something, because guess what? In 2026, my daughter is going to college, or we want to travel more, or we want to do this and this and that. Well, in order to do all of those things, you need to account for that in your budget. And if it wasn't in your budget last year based off the money you made, then what makes you think it's going to be in your budget this year? Right? So we got to talk about those things. Understanding small business taxes. Let me put it in the comments for you. Understanding small business taxes training on January 28th. Yeah, we got to talk about this, right? And I need you to learn it. I need you to learn it for yourself so you know. It's not enough for you to just be looking online and reading things without knowing stuff for yourself, right? Or just relying on somebody to just tell you something. I need you to know for yourself. I need you to gain the wisdom for yourself. And that's what we're going to do on January 28th, okay? Understanding small business taxes training. I don't know when I'm going to do it again. I don't know, okay? It could be 6 months from now. It could be in December when I did it. Like I just did it in December, and I just did an encore for January. So this is your chance. This is your chance to get in. And if you are someone, you're like, you know what, Chastity, I hear your voice. Okay, I hear you talking to me, and I want to learn what it's like to work with you. I want to learn about your services. I want to learn about your tax and bookkeeping services that you have to offer. Then join me next week on January 21st, okay? at 6:30 p.m. Central so that you can learn about our services, okay? You can learn about our services. It's a group Zoom call. You can come ask your questions. I'll tell you about our different tax packages, which one that you will fall under based off your tax situation. And come hang out with me on January 21st. Get to know me. I know you may see me online, or maybe you heard about me from a friend or a friend. But come know me for yourself. Come know me for yourself on January 21st at 6:30 p.m. Central. It's right before the IRS officially opens up their doors on the 26th. Okay, so you already be good to go knowing who's going to file your tax return, which is going to be Grady Tax Plus. All right, so that's all I have for y'all. Listen, I have a testimonial live coming up for y'all. Y'all are going to enjoy it. Maybe I'll go live today and tell y'all about it. It almost slipped my mind, but yes, I got to get this out. I got to get this testimonial live out for y'all to give y'all that confidence that y'all need in your business for 2026. So be on the lookout for that. Probably we'll see what the Lord says. We see if He want me to do it in the morning or today. Probably in the morning. We'll see. Okay, but be on the lookout for that testimonial live that's coming up. I hope something that I said here blesses you, and I will see you in the next one.